Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL train, and in this video we're going to be doing a wildcard team ahead of game week 22, which starts up again on the Tuesday finally after such a long game week 21. We've got obviously this weekend break with the FA Cup. We know who's in the League Cup final, so I figured, you know what, let's do a wildcard team ahead of game week 22. And starting us off with the goalkeepers, of course, I've gone with Jose Sarr and Areola and my goalkeeper. So Areola, majority of people own him. He's like one of the cheapest starting goalkeepers that we've got. I mean, will he start against Bournemouth? Not 100% certain, obviously, because he did go off with concussion in the last game. But, you know, there is a good chance that he will start, I think, possibly against Bournemouth, because that game will be on the Thursday. So it would have been more than a week since the head injury that he sustained in the last game week. So yeah, I mean, the fixtures going forward after that, Man United, Arsenal aren't the easiest. Forest away is not too bad. Brentford's going to be difficult now Tony's back. Everton, Burnley. So it's not the worst run in the world for West Ham. Obviously, like I said, Bournemouth is coming up this game week coming. So it's not the worst record. Don't see a lot of clean sheets, but possibly you might get some save points. But like I said, cheapest goalkeeper that starts in the Premier League. You've got to have him, really. But obviously, the second goalkeeper is not Dubravka. His goalkeeper is a lot more expensive, so 5 million, probably more than you might want to spend normally. Obviously, you could go for like a David Raya, who's a little bit cheaper at 4.9 million. But I've gone for Jose Sarr here because now his fixtures on paper might look a bit difficult. Man United is obviously next game. Chelsea, Brentford, and Spurs coming up next 4 games. Not exactly the easiest, and Sheffield United after that. But then, obviously, once they hit Sheffield United, they do actually have a really good run, Wolves. But the reason why I say it's not too bad actually in these next 4 games is Man United and Chelsea aren't exactly amazing, let's face it. Now, do I think Wolves are going to keep in clean sheets in these 4 games? Possibly not. But Jose Sarr, if he's getting loads and loads of shots pelted at him, he's going to be making save after save after save. That's the kind of goalkeeper he is. And he'll be getting those bonus points in, those save points in. And that's where I think the points will come in for him. And I do think he'll be getting 5-6 points in quite a few of these games coming up. So that's why I think Jose Sarr would be a good little shout out for your goalkeeper going forward. So then with the defenders and starters off, I've got Gabriel. Obviously smashed it in game week 21. Absolutely crushed it. Can that continue? We'll have to see. Obviously he did have a knock in 21. So we'll yet to know whether he'll play in 22. But I think he will be fit for this game against Forest. Got a tough game against Liverpool in 23, but 24 is West Ham, 25 is Burnley. I think Arsenal are more than capable of keeping clean sheets in both of those games, particularly if they want to win the league. But we'll have to see because, you know, clean sheets this season are just really difficult to find at the minute. But anyways, alongside him, I've got Pedro Porro. Everybody wants him right now, understandably so. He's absolutely been smashing it, even when Spurs are not killing it defensively, keeping clean sheets, if you know what I mean. So didn't they concede like 4 goals one game week, and he still got 2 bonus points, and he didn't even get an assist, which was crazy. So yeah, Pedro Porro, he loves bonus points. It is attached to him. His attacking output is just phenomenal. So yeah, he's definitely a must-have, I'd say. He got some good fixtures as well, the likes of Everton. Brighton's going to be a little bit tougher, but it's going to be at home. And Wolves, so he can do well in those games going forward. Kyle Walker's coming up next. Now, obviously, Man City kill it second half of the season. I think they will continue to kill it like they usually do. They do have a double game week in 25 as well, something to look at. It's difficult usually going for Man City defenders because obviously rotation and that. But so far, Kyle Walker has 99% of the time started for Man City. I think he's missed like 1 game so far this season. Now, he has actually crept up in price. Now, last time I checked, he's 5 million. He's 5.4 now. So he's been doing that quietly and slowly, hasn't he? But yeah, Burnley up next. I think 90% certain Man City will keep a clean sheet in that game. A bit tougher in 23 with Brentford, with obviously Ivan Toney being back, like I mentioned. But then obviously he's got Everton and then the double game week after that. So yeah, I think he'd be a great option to go for going forward. Estupiñán, obviously he's back now for Brighton. Smashed it last game week, got 8 points against, obviously, was it West Ham he played in the 0-0 draw? Can't quite remember. It might have been Wolves, sorry. Wolves he played 0-0 draw. Got 2 bonus points in that game. Obviously, he's a bit similar to Pedro Porro, well, I'll say possibly he is, just that he plays on the left side and Porro plays on the right side. Luton away next game, great fixture for him. I mean, they've got a great run, but Brighton have going forward. Palace next, after that even, should I say. Spurs going to be a bit tougher, and Sheffield United as well. So great run of fixtures for Brighton going forward. And obviously Estupiñán is a quality defender, quality attacking defender, and in my opinion, a must-have. Finally, then to round it off, I've gone for Konza. So I've not got Trent Alexander-Arnold in this team just because of the fact that, I mean, he is injured. It's not guaranteed that he is going to be back for this game week. And obviously, it's a tough fixture against Chelsea. And even then, he'll have Arsenal in game weeks 23. And then obviously, look at 25, is it? Or 26. He's going to be blanking because he's in, obviously, the League Cup final. If he goes through the FA Cup, which obviously more than likely will, I'm pretty sure they'll blank again soon. So, quite a few blanks coming up for Trent. Can't guarantee he's going to be fit coming up with these game weeks. Not worth it with the fixture, so that's why I've not got Trent in the team. But Konza, I mean, he's just a safe pair of hands, really. I mean, obviously he's not a goalkeeper, but he starts week in, week out for Newcastle. Aston Villa, he's got Newcastle next game. I'd probably put on the bench if I had him for that game week anyway. Sheffield United in 23 is a great fixture. Man United is not great in 24, and 25 is Fulham. And then after that, the fixtures are nice for Aston Villa. He's more of a bench option, though, if I must say. If you wanted to drop him down to 3.9 million for Charlie Taylor, that's absolutely fine. So then, with my midfield now, starting us off, I've got Saka here. Now, this is a player that people have been saying, well, he's not been doing as well as he did last season, which I have been feeling the same as well, but I'm pretty sure I saw a stat where, compared to this time last season, I think there's 1 point difference in terms of FPL points. So, really, he's been pretty consistent if you think about it like that. Obviously, he did have a decent start to the start of the season, but he has mellowed down quite a bit in the last month and so. But, you know, Nottingham Forest away, I think he'll do well in that game week. So, yeah, I've got no issues with that game week. 23, Liverpool at home. I think he can cause problems if I'm being honest. Now, obviously, we still don't know if Andrew Robertson's going to be back for Liverpool. Obviously, he's not played in any cup games recently, so I don't think he will be. So we go up against Gomez, obviously, with Tsimikas out, and I do think he will get the better of him, if I'm being honest, and I do expect him to get a goal in that game. And I don't see any reasons why he wouldn't score against West Ham, who like to concede goals, as well as Burnley. So, going forward, if you've got him, if you still got him in your team, keep him in your team. If you haven't got him, I'd definitely get Saka in. Now, I've got Bruno Fernandes in alongside him. Might be a bit of a surprise, because Man United are just dreadful. They really are dreadful majority of the time. I'm just going with this thing where surely it can't continue like this. Surely there's going to be a change. Surely the second half of the season, Man United will get better attackingly, because it's been so shocking. But Fernandes does create chances. That is the one thing about him. He's not like the likes of Rashford and Anthony who will just keep trying to shoot. He will try and set it on a plate for people, and then Rashford will just sky it and miss it. So that's the reason why he doesn't get the points like he usually does. But yeah, the reason why I've got Fernandes is the fixtures actually are not too bad for Man United. So Wolves, West Ham, Villa, Luton in 25. 26 they might blank, and then Man City in 27 would be tough. But then after that, Everton and Sheffield United. So the fixtures long term are pretty decent for Fernandes. So he might be a good outside chance here, because a lot of people aren't looking at him anymore, because for obvious reasons, Man United are poor. But I'm just saying, maybe it might be worth going for him. So Fernandes is somebody I definitely recommend. I got Anthony Gordon. I mean, even during the bad spell, Gordon was still getting the goal here and there. He's been brilliant this season, to be fair to him. I think last season I had him down as one of the worst. Well, he was in one of the worst one of the worst transfers of the season last season. But this season, he has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant for Newcastle. So yeah, tough fixture coming up against Aston Villa in game week 22. So if you want to put him on the bench for that fixture, that is fine. But then after that, Newcastle got a great run against Luton, Forest and Bournemouth before having Arsenal 26, which could be obviously a blank. Don't quote me on this, but I think that might be FA Cup weekend, so that could change to a blank. And then obviously you have Wolves after that. So good fixtures for Newcastle long term, so definitely look at having Gordon in your team because he's been brilliant this season and he's dirt cheap as well. Phil Foden on in here, so I'm not going for Kevin De Bruyne just because obviously he's a little bit more expensive. De Bruyne did say after that game where he came back that he's not even ready to start games. Obviously, Foden's been phenomenal this season in my opinion. Burnley's the next game. I think Man City can cause damage in this game, particularly because Company just don't have a plan B at all. So, could be devastating that game. That could be a 6-0 if I'm being honest. Brentford, I think they're a bit weak at the back at the minute. Everton, a bit weak at the back. And then the double game week as well. So yeah, you want Foden for a double game week as well. So it makes sense having Phil Foden in your team. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with going for De Bruyne. But me personally, I'd go for Phil Foden. And then finally it is Cole Palmer. I mean, it's a bit hard really to take him out of your team if I'm being honest. But honestly, I reckon around game week 25, I might take him out of my team. In my team personally. But for now, I'd keep him for Wolves and Crystal Palace in game weeks 23 and 24. But there is a good chance. Obviously, Chelsea are going to blank in 26 because they're in the final. If they go through this weekend in the FA Cup, then they're going to blank again at some point as well. Obviously, because they need to fit that FA Cup game in. So they'll have to blank somewhere. So that'll be 2 blanks. So it's not going to be worth, I think, keeping Palmer for that run there between Man City game week 25 to right up to game week 30, because in 28 they've got Newcastle, who could be back to their best, and 29 is Arsenal. So yeah, I think I would take him out, but at the moment keep him for Wolves and Crystal Palace because he's been amazing. And obviously to replace him, you could bring in Mohamed Salah for that game week if he's fit. If he is fit, because obviously Salah's out injured currently right now. Don't know really what's going on with it. It looks worse, I think, when it was first made out. So yeah, you could take Palmer out and put Mohamed Salah in for him going forward. Obviously, with the money that's left over, you can't do that for a straight swap. So if I was anybody, I'd take out possibly Bruno Fernandes, just because, no doubt, after 2 game weeks, you probably had enough of him because Man United is still awful. But overall, I think that midfield is pretty decent. But yeah, when he's fit, you want Mohamed Salah. I don't have Jota in here just because can't guarantee he will start, to be honest. And same with Luis Diaz. Can't really guarantee what he's going to do either. Whereas realistically, you want 100% starters. And I think for the next 4 game weeks, these 5 will start every game week. And so then that leaves me with the strikers. So starting us off is Ivan Toney. He came back with a bang. Great free kick against Nottingham Forest, wasn't it? Very clever of him. Obviously, he comes back to a tough fixture. Obviously, going against Spurs isn't exactly going to be easy, but this is Ivan Toney. He can score against anybody you put in front of him. So I would have no issues in having Ivan Toney for Spurs in 22 and Man City for game weeks 23. So, and then obviously he does have the double in game weeks 25, which is actually against Liverpool and Man City. Now, I wouldn't touch any other Brentford player for that double, but I'd have no issues with Toney going into a double game week against Liverpool and Man City. You know, he is back now. Hopefully he will smash it. Hopefully as well he'll stop the yellow cards, because he's came back and he's got a yellow card. That is usually his biggest weakness, yellow cards, because he always gets a yellow card. And it's frustrating. But apart from that, I think that's his only weakness to his game. But yeah, I think he'll still smash it. And yeah, for sure, Toney would be a great option. I've got Erling Haaland on here. Obviously, it is not confirmed yet that he is fit for game week 22. If he is not going to be fit for game week 22, I'll bring in Alvarez for sure. But luckily, we've got the FA Cup coming up this weekend, so we might get a better picture on what's going on. Ideally, you want Haaland on the bench for the FA Cup game and then to come on, rather than starting the FA Cup and then come off early, because I think there will be a good chance that he won't start then in game week 22 because of the quick turnaround. But you never know, we'll have to see. But for now, I've got Erling Haaland in there, just because, obviously, like I mentioned, Foden and Walker, their fixtures coming up are not exactly the worst in the world. And of course, more importantly, they have a double game week in game week 25, and you want Erling Haaland for that game week, providing he is fit. And then finally, I've got Pedro as my last striker. So no Ollie Watkins, who has been a bit disappointing in the last few game weeks, if I'm being honest. But obviously he does have Sheffield United in game week 23, so that could burn you if you decide not to go for Ollie Watkins. But that same game week, Brighton will have Crystal Palace at home. And obviously Pedro has been starting consistently for the last few game weeks now, so I expect, well, I hope it does continue, because for me personally, I really want him in my team going forward. And when he's got the likes of Luton, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Everton, Fulham and Nottingham Forest coming up, you really want him in your team. Now, obviously, for those who know fixtures, no, I did miss out the Spurs game. But even then, obviously, it's a tougher side. Spurs' defence do leak in goals. So, yeah, this is an amazing run. And ideally, you want Pedro in there. Now, obviously, Matoma would be ideal as well, but he's at the Asia Cup at the moment. But yeah, for sure, those three, I think they're the best three strikers to go for. You could say possibly going for like a Darwin Núñez, but I don't know about you, but I'm too busy being burned by him to want to touch him at this moment in time. But yeah, these are the three strikers I want in my team, and I think they are by far the best options going forward. So that is it then for this video. Let me know what you think of this team. Let me know if you're going to be wildcarding for this game week. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all on the next one.